Hello again. I am back with another video. So this time I wanted to do a little bit of a video on the background to me applying, getting onto the conversion course, and what I did to prepare for that. So to start with, once I had made the decision that psychology was the route I definitely wanted to take, the first thing I did was consult the BPS website, the British Psychological Society website. So I'm going to share the screen so you can see what I looked at. And this really helped inform um, my further actions. So how do I do this? Okay, so on the British Psychological Society website, there is, I go to the home page, on the public page, there's a whole section on becoming a psychologist. So within this, there are lots of questions and answers for people at different stages of their careers. It could be people who are still at school and wondering what courses they should take and what they should do, or there are people who are maybe a bit older looking for a career change. So there's all sorts of information, and this would definitely be the main source of information that I would recommend going to. I read through all of this, and this was probably April, May 2021. And if we click on career options in psychology, it gives you a bit of an overview of what you need to do. So the one thing that I honed in on was this paragraph here. To become a chartered psychologist, you will first need to gain a graduate basis for chartered membership, GBC, by completing an accredited degree or conversion course, and then go on to receive further training in the specific field of psychology that you want to work in. So this was the first hurdle where I thought, right, my degrees I have to date, I have a bachelor's degree in mental health nursing, and I have a master's in public administration. Those were not going to cut it. They're not what I need to then go on and become a psychologist. So I then looked at, if we go back a page, where is it? Career options, is it here? GBC. There is oh, I've lost it now. For the public. Bear with me. Here we go, at the top here. So find an accredited course. So this is where I knew that I needed to do a conversion course. So I already had a degree, but it wasn't the right kind of degree. So some people may find that they don't have a degree, in which case you don't need to do a conversion course. You just do the right kind of degree that will give you that graduate basis for accreditation. So I did this conversion course, and I think the difference between doing a undergrad or a postgrad, the conversion is sort of it's a, well, my course, it's a master's in applied psychology. It's master's level, so it's not an undergraduate degree, but it's not you don't have to do the whole, whole degree program. So I looked at postgrad, oh no, I didn't. I looked at conversion courses and I clicked find. And then I just had a little explore. It's got a list of all the courses across the UK. You can filter it. So I had a look at quite a lot of these. I was mainly looking for distance learning because I work full time. So I did look at online only, and there's quite a lot that provide a course. Is my one there? It's not on that list. But I did a lot of research, looked at the programs for all of them, looked at the costs, looked at how I might fund this before I made a decision. But funnily enough, I went with the Robert Gordon College, and that is because it is in Aberdeen, which is where I am based. I've also studied at Robert Gordon University previously, so I got an alumni discount for studying there again. And I've had a really good experience with them doing both on-campus degree, which was my undergraduate degree in nursing, and also my master's, which I did distance learning. It also had really good reviews. So that's why I chose Robert Gordon's. So it was a mixture of convenience because it's local. So if I did want to go in for any, you don't need to go in, but if I wanted to use the library, it's quite easy for me. And obviously the discount, it was a 20% discount. So that was quite a big driver also. So I applied for this course probably May 2021 and waited to hear. It was quite a easy application process. I had to do a statement, supply lots of information as you would expect, and it was fairly straightforward. I subsequently was offered a place probably in the June. It didn't take that long to be confirmed. And at the same time, I was also applying for funding. So I received a study grant from the SAS, which did help me. If I hadn't received that, I would have had to pay a deposit, and then there were finance options to pay for that course moving forward. So probably within 6 weeks, that was all tied up and confirmed, and I knew what I was doing. And I started to receive a little bit of information from the university about the course and some recommended reading, and I threw myself into that. At that point, June 2021, we were still kind of in COVID lockdown of some sort, so I wasn't doing as much as I might normally have done. I was also very conscious that I hadn't studied for probably 5 or 6 years since I'd done my master's. So I wanted to get back into a habit. So I started to become quite disciplined with my time, and I took the recommended reading from the course very seriously. One of the books that they recommended was this one, Essential Psychology, and that's 3rd edition, and that's Philip Banyard et al. And it's got some online resources as well. It's a really, really good introductory textbook to psychology. I would really recommend this book if you haven't got any psychology background. I did have a little bit, so some of it I did know some of it, but it was really, really helpful. It goes through everything from the history of psychology, or a little bit of the history. It touches on cognitive psychology, biological psychology, social, developmental, individual differences, and applied psychology, how it's put into practice. So it was really, really good. And it's quite a chunky book. But what I did was I read this cover to cover, and I promise you that is what I did. Every night I would set myself a target of how much I was going to read. I found that each chapter took me about an hour and a half, sometimes a bit longer. And that was mainly because I was taking notes, really reflecting on things. I was really committed to taking in as much information as I could and really understanding the information. So I read that cover to cover. I don't know how long it took me, but I did it. And like I say, that was about an hour and a half per night. It didn't feel like a hardship, to be honest. It was really interesting. It just kept my motivation levels really high. It made me really excited to learn more. I kept a notebook, which I don't have near me, but I did have a notebook, and I would write ideas down as I was reading, questions. I found that a really enjoyable time through last summer. At the same time as that, I was also very conscious. I'm just aware I'm still screen sharing. Let's come out of this. So I'm just going to share that book again in case I didn't see it, Essential Psychology. At the same time as I was reading this, I was very conscious that I hadn't done any real face-to-face work with people for a while. You know, obviously I'd been a nurse, I'd been a support worker, I'd been a CBT practitioner in the past, but it was quite a few years ago, at least 8 years ago, probably. Um, and I was very conscious that in order to progress beyond the conversion degree and move forward into doctorate applications, that I would probably need to start thinking about face-to-face work and what that looked like and how I could do that. So I started to explore that, and I thought that I needed to refresh my knowledge of counselling skills. I know that clinical psychology isn't counselling, but I'm quite interested in the counselling aspect as well. So I did do a short course on counselling skills. It's a level 2 certificate in counselling skills, and I did it through the Skills Network. It was very, very low cost. I think you can get funding for it. I can't remember how much it was now, but you can get funding for it if you need to. And it's definitely entry level, but it just reminded, well, it's entry level for counselling. In order to become a counsellor, you have to do much, much more. But in order to remind myself of counselling skills, working with people, different theories of counselling, person-centered approach, this was a really good course, and it also started to get me into the swing of studying and doing work and doing assessments. And it only took me 12 weeks. So I think I started that in June last year, 2021, and it took me just a few weeks before I started the conversion degree. So that was a really good thing to do as well. The other thing I did, I know this sounds like I did a lot, but I was very committed, and I wanted to. All my spare time went on this, and I appreciate not everybody can do that. But the other thing that I looked at, and which might be of interest, is the Open University. So I'm going to share my screen again just to show you this. So Open University do some free courses. It's Open Learn. And I can't remember where I discovered this, but I did. So you can go to Open Learn, and it's via the Open University. And again, it's nothing that's accredited or that qualifies you for anything, but it starts your learning in an area. And it's probably a good way to test if it is something you're interested in before fully committing, or like me, practice getting into the swing of studying. So I just searched for psychology and looked at all the different short courses that they did that were related to psychology. And the one, I can't remember which one I did now. I think it was this one, Investigating Psychology Chips. And it was really, really interesting. So if you see this, I hope this can be seen on the video. This is a tool that anyone can access, and it gives you information about different psychologists, their background, the relationships they had with other psychologists, what methods they used, what their perspective was, and it works through. How do you get back to it? Oh no. What's wrong? It works through time. So if I go into this, you can see it's got the timeline here. So it basically goes from here, which is 1839 up to 2001 and beyond, I think. And all of these dots represent a psychologist or a perspective or a major event, and you can just click on the dots and play around with it. But I found that really interesting. So there was a course that drew on this that showed you how to use it, and that was really interesting. So I would definitely recommend that as something to look at if you haven't studied for a while, you're interested in getting into psychology or any topic really, but obviously for psychology, I would really recommend having a look at Open Learn, seeing what free courses they have just to get your interest going. Obviously, YouTube is a great source of information as well, but if you want something to be a bit structured, to train you in being more disciplined with a view to study, then definitely recommend that. And yeah, so those were the main things I did. So obviously applying, doing the research, using the BPS website. I applied for the course. I did a short course on counselling. I researched and used the recommended reading from what the university had sent me and read this cover to cover. And yeah, that was it, and it really helped me. It set me up so when in September the course actually started, I was already in study mode. I had already had a study plan that I was working to around my work and family commitments. So I just translated that into whatever the requirements were for the first couple of modules. So I found that really helpful, and I already had a bit of information, so I didn't feel like I was starting cold. So totally recommend that. The other thing I just wanted to share, which is again back on the BPS website under becoming a psychologist, within the career options section, there is a careers flowchart. And I found this really helpful as well. Would recommend anyone look at this. So obviously these are the different areas of psychology that you might go on to work in. And it gives you a bit of an overview of what it is, what they do, where they work. So clinical psychologists work mainly in health and social care. And it tells you how to become that kind of psychologist. So for a clinical psychology, you need the graduate basis for chartered membership, and then you need a doctorate in clinical psychology. It tells you how to apply for that. It tells you that you need to be registered with HCPC. It tells you about the kind of work you'll be doing, the pay you'd get, where you find jobs. It's really, really good. Some of this I knew already just from working in the NHS, but I didn't know about this GBC. That was new to me. So I'm currently at this stage in the process getting my GBC, and then there'll be a whole host of other challenges in the next stages, I'm sure. But that's the clinical one. If we go back into another one like forensic, again, it's the same structure, the same format. It tells you where forensic psychologists work, which is mainly in the prison service, how to become a forensic psychologist, and this is slightly different, and you'll find that different types of psychologists, the pathway is different. So again, you must have the GBC, and then you must have a master's in forensic psychology, and then you have to complete stage 2 of the Society's qualification forensic psychology. There are some doctorates, but that's an option. Stage 2 qualification, and then you can become a chartered psychologist. And in order to use the title, you need to be registered with HCPC, which applies to all types of psychologists. I'll just go into one more because it's very interesting that there are different options. So for counselling psychology, obviously you need the GBC, and you need a doctorate or the Society's qualification in counselling psychology. And if that's something people want to do, then look into that via the BPS website, because I'm not fully versed in all of that, and there's lots of information about people who are doing that. But yeah, I would recommend using this tool just to hone down what it is you want to do and how you might go about doing it. So I hope that was helpful, useful, and it's reminded me of how much excitement and anticipation I had probably this time last year when I was getting started, and yeah, it's reminded me, it's remotivated me. So I've done what I set out to do today. Thank you.